FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot and Amit, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Trying to dance why, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the word, so shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit, and as you can see, there's no K-Dot today. K-Dot and A-Train hung out. Turns out K-Dot couldn't hang, so he's not here today, unfortunately. Not feeling well, also traveling. That's the real reason he's not here. So, one, hope you feel better, K-Dot, and enjoy the episode, and two, safe travels. We will see K-Dot next week. Next week's episode is going to be Predictions Week. It's going to be Final 53. With Predictions Week, it's going to be Division Winners, Super Bowl Champion, League MVP prediction, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, etc., etc. So that's going to be next week's episode. K-Dot will be back for that one. And once again, feel better, buddy. So before we begin this episode, which is going to talk about Jayden Daniels finishing number 21 in the NFL Top 100, a Terry McLaurin update, Brian Robinson being on the trading block, and then a Ravens Commanders preseason preview and the comment mailbag. If you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do. And I'm already missing K-Dot because he would say share this shit. So without further ado, I will go ahead and get started, and thanks for joining me today. So beginning with Jayden Daniels finishing number 21 in the NFL Top 100. First off, congratulations to Jayden. QB1 for us and ascending at an unbelievable rate. The greatest rookie season of all time culminates in him being number 21 in the NFL Top 100. 3,500 yards passing in the regular season, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and then you tack on another 900 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns, and that excludes the playoffs. Now, some of you might be wondering, okay, number 21, that's really good. Could it have been even higher? Why wasn't it higher? So the way that the NFL Top 100 voting works, as far as I know, and I was looking it up, and I know this from last year, is that players are asked to vote between Thanksgiving and New Year's. So we were not the 12-win team yet. We did not have the playoffs considered in that voting. So could he have been even higher after the playoffs? Yes, absolutely. But for now, 21 is perfectly fine considering where we were during that time. We were starting to get hot, but maybe some players voted before he threw 5 touchdowns against the Philadelphia Eagles, for example. So that's how it works. But Jayden finishes number 21. So that's the note on Jayden. Quickly on Terry McLaurin. Back practicing with the team? Kind of. He's on the field, still in the hoodie, but he's doing some conditioning on the side. Dan Quinn clearly frustrated at this point, saying, I'm not playing. Where's Waldo with the media? And so we will see what happens with Terry McLaurin. But it's continuing to sound like no progress is made, unless you believe Ricky Scoops on Twitter, who says that a deal will be done closer to that 30 million mark. He's got a good hit rate, honestly. And when we talk about B-Rob, we're going to mention some of the teams rumored from Ricky Scoops as well. So once again, that's the Terry McLaurin update. Really no news. We'll see what happens. And obviously, if something breaks, we'll be on live to be able to discuss that. So that's Terry. That's Jayden. And now let's shift over to Brian Robinson, who this was sort of a surprise, unless your name is Ben Standig. And shout out Ben Standig for absolutely crushing it with this, saying a couple weeks ago, in fact, I don't think Brian Robinson Jr. is going to be on the week 1 roster. And that surprised a lot of people. Okay, well, why wouldn't Brian Robinson be on the roster? He's RB1. He had a pretty solid season last season. In short yardage situations, he's clutch. So why is this happening? Because, fast forward a couple weeks later, and we get the news that he is on the trading block, according to Jordan Schultz. And then just a day later, before we play the Cincinnati Bengals, the team and Brian Robinson mutually agree that he's not going to play that night. So now what? Well, again, according to Ricky Scoops on Twitter, who, again, more hits than misses, so we're willing to talk about his tweets or her tweets. Seems to be an alias. But it's the Niners, the Cowboys, the Texans, and the Dolphins that are all interested in trading for Brian Robinson, with the Dolphins being the front runner as of right now. So first things first, that means that there is a market for Brian Robinson, which is good news, right? Because if there weren't, then we're looking at potentially cutting him. He no longer has a locker, according to JP Finley, with the team. So he's not going to be on the team. So with that market, what could we expect to get? And so I was looking at running back trades over the last 5 seasons. And I was like, okay, well, what can we get? So Matt Breida got traded in 2020, and it was a 5th round pick. It was from the 49ers to the Miami Dolphins. Okay, so that was in 2020. 2023, Cam Akers gets traded from the Rams to the Vikings. What happens there? It's a conditional 2026 7th round pick from the Vikings for a 6th round pick that goes to the LA Rams. Okay, so sort of a pick swap kind of thing. Khalil Herbert goes from the Bears to the Bengals. That's a 7th round pick. And then Jordan Mason this offseason from the 49ers to the Vikings. That was a 2025 5th rounder and 6th rounder. But the Niners also sent a pick alongside with Jordan Mason. So what that really means is, because we have a market and he is RB1, I think the best, absolute best we can hope for is a 5th round pick. But I would be quite surprised if we ended up getting a 5th round pick for Brian Robinson Jr. So, we'll probably end up getting a 6th or a 7th. I do anticipate a trade happening, and credit to KDOT. He had mentioned that on our last episode, that he does see a market. He does expect a trade. It does look like a trade will occur. It just hasn't yet. Reviewing the draft picks that we do have coming up, it's a 1st rounder this coming season, a 3rd rounder, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. What happened to the 2nd round pick and the 4th round pick? That was part of the Laramie Tunsil trade. That also got us, I want to say that was the Jaylin Lane pick, because we got a 4th rounder with Laramie Tunsil. So that's the update on Brian Robinson. A question for you guys, because I'm curious about this, because I was thinking about this. So let's say that the Dallas Cowboys, because they're one of the teams supposedly interested, offered a 4th round pick versus the Miami Dolphins offering a 6th. One is in division, right? Would you rather get a 6th round pick from the Miami Dolphins, a team in the AFC, so other conference, other division, don't really worry about Brian Robinson, or do you get a 4th round pick, but you're sending him into the division? This is something we did with Jahan Dotson last season. Now, that sort of came out of nowhere in terms of he's suddenly being shopped, and now all of a sudden he's with the Philadelphia Eagles. But I'd be curious as to how you guys think about that from the GM perspective. What would you do? 4th rounder from Dallas or 6th rounder from Miami is the hypothetical I'm going to go ahead and pose to you guys. And so that's Brian Robinson. We go over to the Ravens Commanders preview, where, look, it's the last preseason game. No starters are going to play on either side. The Ravens are only favored by 2.5 points. And so for this, what do I want to see? I want to see some backup players play well. And I don't think we've really seen that just yet. When I think about the New England Patriots game, we were just thoroughly outclassed, outcoached. I know some people are like, oh, it's just the preseason. To me, I still want to see players make plays. And in that game, nobody did. Now, granted, it was all backups, but nobody stood out except for Jeremy Reeves. That was basically it. The special teams were atrocious. The offense didn't really ever get going. The defense was just getting steamrolled by the Patriots. And then we went to the Cincinnati Bengals game. And the first team offense obviously looked awesome. It was 4-play, 74-yard drive, under 2 minutes. Jayden didn't throw a pass. Would still like to have seen that, but didn't occur. And then the defense initially gave up a touchdown, but then forced Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals offense off the field. So they look good. But then once the backups came in, Josh Johnson, Sam Hartman on offense, and then on defense, a number of backups, well, the game flipped on its head. We ended up losing 31-17. So I expect the Ravens to beat us. I'm not concerned about the score. I'm always concerned about how it looks. Also curious to see who plays. One of the big questions for me is, does Chris Rodriguez play? Does Ja'Cory Croskey-Merritt, Bill, does he play? Who does, who doesn't? I would anticipate that Chris Rodriguez does not. If he does, then I do think we have an RB1 competition. But as of right now, I think Chris Rodriguez is the clear-cut number one running back in terms of how he's been used so far. I think Bill's got an opportunity to be able to earn a timeshare with him, like a 50-50 split. But right now, I would see Chris Rodriguez as 1, Bill as 2. If they both play, this is great news for Bill. Bill has an opportunity to be RB1. So if you want to get ahead of people in your, fantasy football, I would say right now, Chris Rodriguez is the guy you want to target while all of Twitter explodes over Bill, who I think will end up being the starter at some point. But right now, Chris Rodriguez has earned the opportunity. And so I think that he's probably going to sit. I would be surprised if he does play. But we'll see, especially in light of the Brian Robinson Jr. news. So that's one thing I'm looking at. The other, wide receiver, right? So we wait on Terry. We wait on Noah, who is practicing again, but he's ramping up right now. Obviously, Debo's not going to play. Does Luke McCaffrey play? I think he should. I want to see something from Luke McCaffrey. Jaylin Lane probably will play, right? He's going to be the 3rd or 4th wide receiver on this team. KJ Osborne, Michael Gallup, like what are we going to see from those guys? Need somebody to make a play. And it involves good throws from Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson to allow them the opportunity to make a play. Tay Martin, anytime his number's been called, he's done pretty well. KDOT has talked about Michael Gallup in the past. What will he do? And then you got to think, if no one does make a play, then a name I mentioned at the very beginning of the wide receiver segment here, Noah Brown just popped up on our roster after he was released by the Houston Texans. And now we're talking about him as our wide receiver 2 on the outside. We would have Terry on one side. We would have Noah Brown on the other. We would probably have Debo in the slot, or you could move Debo outside. All of a sudden, Noah Brown became very important, and that was after all the preseason games were done. Is there a wide receiver out there that we look to target? Maybe. I would not be surprised. So one of these guys needs to make a play. Ben Sinnott at tight end. Want to see it, right? This is a good opportunity for Cole Turner as well, for Colson, Yankoff as well. Which tight end shows up? K-Dot keeps talking about gapping, right? So widening the gap between the other tight ends. We have Zach Ertz. We know what Zach Ertz can do. We have John Bates. We know what John Bates can do. Amazing blocking tight end, man. Seeing him live, it's different. But what is going to happen with Ben Sinnott? What is going to happen with Cole Turner? What's going to happen with Colson Yankoff? Ben Sinnott, I think, has the lead in terms of making the team, obviously, 2nd-round pick last year. But you still want to see more from him. So what are we going to see from Ben Sinnott? I would anticipate him playing. And so that's the tight ends. And then on defense, talked a bit about Tyler Owens. What's going on there? Jordan Magee. Not sure the man exists. Not sure if he's playing. I was trying to look up whether he's going to play or not. Seems like he's practicing a little bit, but I don't know. I'd love to just see him out there. I would love to just see Jordan Magee out there. I'm sure you guys would too. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at. And then backup lineman who is able to set an edge. The Ravens are going to present a good matchup. They're 2-0 this preseason. They notoriously take the preseason quite seriously. We ended their insane winning streak a couple years ago. This is the first time we're playing them in the preseason since. I know John Harbaugh is definitely going to want to win this game. So it's Ravens -2.5. We're not really doing bet of the week, but if I were, oh my goodness, it feels like free money, because if it's true that the talent is just not there, then the Ravens are going to kick our ass. They just are. So nothing we can really do about it, in fact. Or is it a coaching thing? In which case, yeah, a bit more of a toss-up, but the Ravens are just so good in the preseason. So if you're looking for a bet, if you're bored, go ahead and do that. This game is going to be tomorrow at noon Eastern. Okay. So that is that. And now we go over to the comment mailbag, which features an intro from our very own Nikki.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you as always for that intro, Nikki, beginning with, and we got 12 comments here. Appreciate you guys commenting as always. Beginning with Mew did what? Shout out Mew did what? Washington's first team offense and first team defense, minus a few boneheaded penalties, won in the first quarter. The rest was just talent evaluation for filling out the 53. Mew did what? I completely agree with that. The first quarter was absolutely won by us against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals, for those that maybe didn't watch the game or didn't keep up with it, played Joe Burrow and their starters for a few series. Same thing on defense because they are so bad at the start of the season. Joe Burrow, I think the last 5 seasons, which are all his seasons, 1-9 in weeks 1 and 2. That is an insane stat for a guy as good as him. So they played their starters, but we did look better than them. Again, our defense, yes, gave up a touchdown, but then forced them off the field and forced a punt. Our offense was supposed to play a few series, but the moment Jayden took off, run, and scored, Dan Quinn, I think smartly was like, you know what? I said a few series. I just need to see one. I can't have Jayden running around like that again. So I completely agree with you. You did what? I appreciate the comment. We go to Brandon Crittenden. Shout out. Debo was wide open on Jayden's touchdown. So that's what I initially saw too. And KDOT had pushed back on it, saying actually he was not open. Had he thrown it to Debo, somebody would have hit him. Maybe. I haven't reviewed that play, but I initially saw the same thing that you did, Brandon. So we're on the same page. We go over to 67 MBTQ. Luke is not in the same class of speed as Terry. So this is in reference to something I had mentioned last week because we were talking about Jaylin Lane potentially being a replacement for Terry. I forgot whose comment that was. I apologize. And I had made the point that I think what Adam Peters was thinking was last year. Mind you, remember, Terry's 3rd round pick, right? So it's not too unreasonable or even unreasonable at all to suggest that Luke McCaffrey could eventually be Terry's replacement, at least the way Adam Peters was thinking about it. Right? Because Luke McCaffrey had a very high contested catch rate. So does Terry. So that's where that was coming from. It wasn't like a literal comp across the board, but the contested catch bit, maybe he learns under Terry for a year. We're able to get a more team-friendly deal for Terry if Luke shows out a bit more last season, but here we are. Right? All these things matter. And then a lot of people have mentioned Jaylin Lane as a baby Debo Samuel. Right? A Swiss Army knife. He's able to do a whole lot. He had bad quarterback play over at Virginia Tech. Now he's got Jayden Daniels. What's it going to look like? But his versatility is what suggests he's more like Debo Samuel. Now, Luke hasn't done anything to suggest that he is the next Terry McLaurin. And Jaylin Lane has an opportunity to be able to create whatever imprint he wants to. He's got a lot of speed. He's got shiftiness. He can be whatever player he wants to be, especially with a quarterback like Jayden Daniels that'll set him up to succeed. Jaylin Lane also had a very nice catch last week. We go over to Earl Bruce. Shout out. Oh, gee. Imagine my surprise when we got home from the playground and I found out that y'all had posted. Yeah. My reactions to the game. Even missing 3 guys, the offensive line performed well. Joe Gibbs would love the counter plays. Running back by committee. C-Rod had an atrocious offensive line in college and learned how to fight for every yard. Bill brings vision, speed, and will every play. Eck and Mac are dependable. It's Austin Eckler and Jeremy McNichols. Jaylin Lane has a ton of potential as a wide receiver and punt returner. The D should be better. Joe Witt has a slew of options now. I am worried about the special teams. Yeah, that was the second straight week where I was worried about the special teams as well there, Earl. I don't know what it's going to look like because when the opening kickoff against the Cincinnati Bengals, they took that to the 45, right? And that was fresh off of the preseason game against the New England Patriots where Travion Henderson ran for 100 yards in the opening kickoff. So once again, opening kickoff, this time the 45. I anticipate that we're going to continue to practice special teams and not go for touchbacks. But once the regular season starts, we go for touchbacks. Jaylin Lane did have an opportunity to return a punt, and he did the most he could with it. I thought it was a nice return. This was after the first team defense got Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense off the field. So, yes, Jaylin Lane will be our starting punt returner, and I do want to see what he does at wide receiver. He is seeing him at training camp Like, he catches the ball differently. He goes and gets it, even on the quick, slants, even on the quick hitches. Like, he just attacks the ball. Everybody else was sort of just like letting it come to them, or they were taking the rep a little easier. Understandable, especially if you're a veteran. You've done it so many times. You're like, just whatever. We're getting through training camp is what we're doing. There's a certain excitement and buzz in Jaylin Lane that I really like. And so I believe in his potential as well. Running back by committee, that's probably what it will be. I do, as of right now, anticipate Chris Rodriguez as RB1. So he'll get the first opportunity in a lot of games, and then Bill could. Bill played so much more in the Bengals game than I'd anticipated. I was looking on Twitter, and people were saying, hey, put him in bubble wrap after he had scored that touchdown. But it was such an easy touchdown that you had to see more from the guy. So they gave him opportunities one-on-one in space, and he did okay with them. So Chris has earned the opportunity. I think he gets first dibs at it, but I could see a committee, certainly, especially with Austin Eckler and Jeremy McNichols there as well. We go over to Big Javi. MF Quotes, I see all your comments. We're going to conclude with you. So Big Javi, shout out. I could not believe Frankie jumped on that fourth down. Unbelievable. It was so obvious they were not going to snap the ball. I was furious. But then I remembered it was a preseason game with 2 thumbs up on that one. So good comment there, Big Javi. Yeah, I was frustrated too, especially for Frankie Louvu. I can understand the excitement, though. It was his first time on the football field in a long time, and we know the passion and enthusiasm he has for it. Got to hold your nerve, obviously, but same thought as you, that it was like, you know what? It's preseason. Did it remind me of Johnny Newton running offside against the Pittsburgh Steelers? Yeah, but hey, may as well get it done now in the preseason than when the season actually begins. And now, MF Quotes, we got a few from you, so appreciate it. I was at the game, and my friend predicted the same Hartman pick when it happened. Oh, Sam Hartman pick when it happened. And then I predicted the second Tinsley touchdown, and my God, that catch was nasty. It happened right in front of me. Damn it, Amit, I wish you had said you were going to the game. I could have met you. MF Quotes, I did say I was going to the game, but it was very, very quick. And so I apologize. I should have made it more clear that I was going to the game. I will be going to some other games, though, and I will be sure to announce better and more clearly that I am going to those games. Would love to meet you at one of these games. So we'll look to do that soon later this season. The Mitch Tinsley catch. I mean, Commander Twitter was hilarious because he was, of course, with us last year and didn't end up making the team. Penn State boy, shout out. He was great. Shout out Mitch Tinsley. I was very, very happy for him. And that second touchdown catch. Oh, my Lord. Jake Browning put it in a spot where only Mitch could get it. And Mitch keeping those feet in. Woohoo. He looked good. Sam Hartman. I don't know what he has to do to make the team. He seems like such a lock for the practice squad. His relationship with Jayden, obviously very important. And it's just, I don't know. Like, does he need to go 10 for 10, 2 touchdowns? Like, would that be enough? I truly don't think it will be. But we'll see what happens over there with Sam Hartman. Just a rough preseason for him so far. MF Quotes also goes, wow, thanks, K-Dot, for ruining my childhood superstar, or for tuning my childhood superstar. That boy Jabbar was a menace. Yeah, Jabbar Gaffney shouted out by MF Quotes. And turns out had a bit of a checkered past with this time in Florida. Won't go any further than that. Jabbar Gaffney, nice player over here, but yeah, seems like there may have been some moments that were not so great for Jabbar, is where we'll leave it. On Jayden's touchdown, I wasn't nervous at all. I wanted him to score too. Look, when the kid runs, you just got to trust him, right? Like, yes, you want him to slide, but I think sliding, especially, in preseason with that many people around him, is arguably more dangerous than if he were to just run. Because if you slide and someone just tries to hit you low, Bengals are also trying to make a statement for their own defense that they want to be physical, and they are viewed as soft right now. I could have seen something happening, could have seen a potential concussion. So I'm really glad that once he decided to take off, just take a regular hit, and fortunately for him, Bengals defense was soft, and he was able to just march on into the end zone with relative ease. Then we have this from MF Quotes, a couple more here. Bill Nye, the science guy. Bill. If we can get something like that to work, that would be awesome. That would be such a fun chant. just saying Bill over and over again when he carries the rock is going to be awesome. He's got such nice vision. That's what really stuck out to me. And I'm sure many of you watching the current 7th round pick who will make the team, I'm quite sure of that. He not only make the team, probably be part of that committee that we were talking about. He sees these lanes so clearly. And I think the reason he went in the 7th round is because of the ineligibility last season through no fault of his. He was told he was eligible. He was good to go. He had a really nice first game. And then they were like, actually, sorry, can't play. It's the only reason he fell to the 7th. I think some people just didn't know about him. And then finally, MF quotes to round out the common mailbag. Lane was cooking. But I was watching Luke and he was getting open, but QB play was horrendous. And that is a huge point that I don't think everyone is necessarily tracking. So I do have frustration with the wide receivers because I don't think they're necessarily good enough after Terry, Noah, Debo. But they are getting open at times. And if the throws are that bad, it's hard to evaluate them. And I think one or two people on Twitter had even mentioned that. It's true, right? If Sam is releasing it late, I keep doing this like I'm skipping stones instead of throwing a football. But, if he's throwing it late, what's a receiver supposed to do about that? If Josh Johnson is throwing a horrible interception, receiver has absolutely no chance. What's he supposed to do about that? So fortunately, Marcus Mariota is recovering from, I believe it was Achilles tendonitis. He finally mentioned what was going on. We had just known it was a lower leg strain. No one really knew what exactly was happening, but he's back practicing. He's ramping up. He's expected to be ready for week 1, which is underrated news, but huge because having seen Josh Johnson, who is fine, he's been around the league, I think 14 teams now, and Sam, we need Marcus Mariota back, especially when we're playing against a Giants defensive line that is as dangerous as theirs, because you never know if, Jayden takes a bad hit and just needs a player or two off. I would much rather Marcus Mariota come in than Josh Johnson or Sam Hartman. And so that was the comment mailbag. This was the show, shorter one. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, and more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for joining me today without the electric K-Dot alongside me, which once again, he will be back next week, and we're going to do our predictions week episode, our final 53 ideas. And so we'll share those with you guys. And would love to hear your predictions as well coming up. That's going to be great. And so if you enjoyed today's episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and do this, please. We greatly appreciate you guys for joining us, me, myself, and I today. And looking forward to seeing you guys next week. If anything happens with the Terry McLaurin contract extension, I will reach out to K-Dot no matter how bad he's feeling. I'm sure he's going to be game for it. So we will see you guys hopefully live before, next Friday, 2 p.m. Otherwise, we will see you next Friday at 2 p.m. So thank you guys so much for joining. And until then, take it easy.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.